said, I can't.
I heard the
I'll
barn
tell you,
thing,
get out of
and he said the barn's open.
Hey.
So I'd like to have a little wine or a
Right,
beer.
like, get out of my way, the bars.
That's going to be on film. You know that? Oh, is it? Yeah. Let's take the lens cap off first. You got the lens cap on, Bill? What would you care for? A punch or radio? He really knows what he's doing.
You want to go ahead and wine? Waldo real fast. He finds Waldo too fast.
Yeah, that second bird's looking at you.
Well, we just...
You got a little color in your face.
It's your red dress.
Yeah, all right.
So pretty.
Everybody stare at it.
I must be going to work. Oh my
What are you gonna sit by yourself or what?
Oh my God, they went that far. How are you? You're right. Hello there, dear. Hello there. Oh, is it Penn? How are you? I got it. Great. I got it. Michael. Julian. Hello there, Blondie. Bert, Joe. We got everybody here. They're all ready. Oh, look at this. Oh, how are you?
Hello, Joe. You were what I was there for him.
I was.
Unusual. I never saw that before. He's making up for it now.
Yes. I bet she did. I just look at everybody who's leaving the neighborhood. That didn't ring any bells. I saw them. They must be going to work.
Right at it.
It's your wife and your mother yesterday.
I'll come around and meet you, Dad.
Okay, Tracy. How are you?
Fine, never retire. We're glad that you made it.
You look better already.
That's retirement, yeah.
That's your hat. If you can get
Take
in,
all that out of the house.
if you can get into it without breaking the wheel in here, you can wear it for St. Patty's.
The card is
Then you can wear it for St.
I think I
Patty's.
know somebody that could do that. You know, stand out there on the wall or something. I don't want them to see us. Ready for what? I didn't know anything. I thought I was coming to their anniversary.
Is that wine
You get out of here with that machine. Damn kids. No sound.
No respect.
I'm on vacation.
Oh, yeah? Well, when we leave here, this afternoon, I want to think about my place. I can entertain you all next week.
What, how? That's what I figured.
Dan, ladies and gentlemen, yeah. Dan, this is your day. But then again, every day is your day. Huh?
Right.
Dan, this is a special pleasure for me to make some profound statements on your retirement.
In all sincerity.
In all sincerity. Ladies and gentlemen, you should know that Dan is still on the state payroll until April this year. And we as taxpayers should have the opportunity to call on his expertise for any problems that plague us. Later in the program, you can voice your individual concerns. But first, a brief biography.
What is a roast?
Dan grew up and was educated in New York City, where he attended elementary school and high school. Then on he went to St. Michael's Academy, where he graduated in the top 10% of his class. Oh, incidentally,
Wait a minute. What's he talking about?
I have a little letter here from your education background and so forth. It says, "Dear Mrs. Moran," now this is Dan's mother. This is from the elementary school, 4th grade. "Dear Mrs. Moran, after all I said this morning about bringing tar into the school, Daniel deliberately disobeyed me and chewed it as he would chew chewing gum. I trust you will find an effective way of punishing him, as nothing I say or do has any results, where he is concerned. Very sincerely, Hortense Bowman in the 4th grade." Remember her? Dan really stopped chewing tar and he starts turning into snuff, so he's been with snuff ever since then. In 1943, Dan enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps. Matter of fact, Dan was on PI when I was a DI, but we never met. It wasn't until about 1975 when Dan and I became friends. Dan served in the Pacific Theater and in China with the 6th Marine Division. Upon his honorable discharge in 1946, he returned to civilian life and joined the New York City Police Department and served the public once again for 21 years, 14 of which were in the emergency squad, kind of like being back in the Marine Corps, doing the hazardous assignments when prompt action was needed. Dan has a number of citations and commendations from the New York City Police Department. Upon retirement from the New York City Police Department, he took his pension and his family and brought them to Atlanta. In Atlanta, Dan worked for Equifax and again retired 4 years later. In 1978, Dan became a staff member of the Governor's Office of Consumers Affairs. as an investigator. Here again, a public service, protecting the taxpayers. Governor Joe Frank Harris awarded Dan with a certificate from the state of Georgia for 10 years of faithful service. Dan, with all of this tenure, how old are you, 102? Lucky old buddy, you still look about 2-3 million. In 1985, Dan received an award from the Georgia Automobile Dealers Association for outstanding contribution and dedication for voluntary service to the Automotive Consumers Action Panel. So to recap, Dan has really retired on 3 different occasions and with 3 individual pensions. Now, Dan has now formed a new corporation. This corporation is being chartered by and authorized by Audrey as, and we say, honey do this and honey do that. Dan will continue doing his hobbies, playing golf, shooting fireworks, and has recently joined the hot air balloon squad in Helen, Georgia. Permit me to speak for Betty and myself. Dan and Audrey have been our close and personal friends for about 15 years. We have spent many New Year's Eves and other weekends together with friends. Dan has a better than average jack of all trades knowledge. He has helped us in numerous projects at our lake house at Lake Lanier, La Vida. For example, building fences. Back in about 1978, 79, we built a fence across the property and so forth. And of course, I always turned to Dan because I thought he had the expertise. And I think he thought so himself. But you know, Betty asked him after we dug the first hole, have you ever put a fence up? And he says, no. I'll tell you how evident it was that he didn't. Because he would dig the first post hole, I would dig the second one. And it so happened in the second one, he severed the telephone wires of Ebaho Estates. And it took the entire Swanee telephone company. But they did come down post haste and did a marvelous job. It was back on in a week or 2, I think. Dan's also helped us at the lake in planting monkey grass and planting trees and so forth. But every one of those particular projects has always been supplemented by cases and cases of Heineken's beer. One specific afternoon, we had a little bonfire on the lakeside and so forth, and we consumed a case of Heineken's beer before dinner. I say we, editorially we. I don't want to embarrass Dan because he drank most of it anyway. Personally, I would put my money on Dan at any beer-a-thon. Dan appears a slow starter, but be assured he paces well for a victory. So if you'll join me in our salute to Dan on his withdrawal from active duty, the smell of roses, and watch the praise go by as we most grateful. Dan, God bless you. We have a special presentation from Allison and Eric.
Not another balloon ride. What do you say?
The things that are in this box are to keep you busy so you don't have to go shopping for tomatoes and bathing suits. For good grain. And I would have brought you a crumb cake, but I ate it along the way.
Good boy. We have in our midst a gentleman who is probably closer to and has worked with Dan over the years, I'd like to have Rick Letisiak come up.
No. This is history. Thank you. Thank you. I've been waiting for this occasion for some time. Dan, just before you came, we had some people picketing outside. We had to stop them. Mr. Kaiser and a few others helped us. They had Dan Moran, his Over the Hill Club, and everything else, but no, we were able to stop them before Audrey saw it. So we got that. So we'll go into that. Well, also, that goes with the Over the Hill Club, I don't believe you're over the hill. I've always said, I want to employ you now, as with the Office of Consumer Affairs, because you are an outstanding public servant. You have served many people well, and you've been taking from the public trough now, as was mentioned, from the New York City pension fund, from the state of Georgia, Social Security, bird dog fees from, let me see, everybody knows what a bird dog fee is, or a kickback, maybe from pool owners, Chrysler Panel, Car Dealers Association, and a few others.
Don't say him.
No, I can't mention specific names. We'll do that later. Also, Dan, now, with you're the luckiest person I know. I mean, luck is with the Irish. The first time I saw an Irishman's face get red, either he's embarrassed or he's had a few too many. But when you walked in, your face was the color of Audrey's, I can assure you. But he has won more things between the two, from TVs or whatever. But we don't want you to go hungry. We know you have adequate income coming in from all over the United States. Right? I think so. Just to make sure that you still have that entrepreneurial spirit, we don't want you to go hungry now. You've worked the streets of New York, which I'll get into, and a few others. But we want to make sure that on your off time, you can still make a few bucks. Here's your can, your glasses, and the whole works. So you can work, but you stay on your own corner. So you'll find a way to retire from that too. But the years that I worked with Dan, I really got excited. When he was first hired with the Office of Consumer Affairs, I said, isn't this something? We have a 20-year veteran from the New York City Police Department down here in Georgia. Another Yankee, we're all getting together, and we're going to go out and stop these abuses in the marketplace and crime and all the crooks, and a guy that carries a gun on his ankle is going to protect me at this particular time. I was excited. I really was. I said, this is going to be it. So Dan and I set out on a number of occasions, and I wanted to use this expertise that he had. Well, one of the assignments we had was doing undercover work. He was with Equifax. I assume maybe a retirement there. I don't know. But we were setting up undercover transmission shops. So Dan takes me out, puts me in an AMC Pacer, the biggest windows in the world that we're doing undercover work. We're sitting there, a Polak and an Irishman doing undercover work. Then he pulls out his binoculars. But with only one lens. We're doing undercover work. True story. But we went through a lot from I-75 to the years we spent from doing looking in used car windows to try to catch people from odometer tampering 105 degrees in Savannah. Worked a lot and very close together. But we had a fantastic time. And the last thing that I want to do, because Bill's touched on a number of things, is a few people have alluded to. You might have a beard too. No. Okay. I just want to be able to present you with your own T-shirt. It said, I killed the six-pack just to watch it die. Thank you.
I know.
Pat Ryan, Mike Buckley.
Oh, no.
You want another beer?
Hello, Dan. I've known Dan a long time. I bought this nice house in the suburbs of New York City. A few years later, Dan moved in.
Real estate prices dropped like a rock. G-Dan sent me a card. It said, say something nice and profound about my father. Profound I might be able to manage. Nice, I'm going to have a hell of a problem. I've occasionally accused Dan of being illegitimate. I use another word, but there's mixed company here. And having canine blood in his background, but I know his mother, or I knew his mother. She's a delightful lady, so I can't even do that. He's got 4 tremendous kids, which Audrey is going to have to take credit for because Dan can't. Dan has been my nemesis. I finally had to move. I moved to Ohio to get away from him. And he moved to Georgia, and I moved to Georgia, and somehow or other he found out where I lived. One of the nicest things Dan ever did to me, I was an insurance adjuster, and we had a hurricane, so I decided I better check my roof, make sure I don't have any damage. Set the ladder up in the driveway, went up on the roof, checked it all over, no damage, got back, the ladder was gone. And there's this illegitimate sitting in the driveway. He brought his own chair, with a can of beer in one hand, a cigarette in the other, asking me how the things were up there. He also had this little, he used to go like this. One Christmas Eve, I got all the tab A's and the slot B's for the kids. It all finished, was ready to go to bed, and looked across the street, and there's Dan sitting in his window. So I went over there and hung wallpaper in his dining room until, I don't think we ever did get any sleep that night. Another time he invited me over to test my carpentry skills. You say it was 110 in Savannah? It was 120 in his attic. They tried to put in a window. 2-hour job, it took us 8 hours, 9 hours. It's been a joy, Dan, but if you're looking for some work, I've got some work down there for you. Delightful. Glad to be here.
Dig Titleman, I think it's your slot here.
Thanks very much, Bill. Dan, it's really a pleasure to be here and join in the festivities and see all these smiling faces, most of which have known you for a longer period of time than we have, but we're going to make up for the difference. It may take a little while. First, I'd like to address a couple of Dan's idiosyncrasies. One of them, I understand, has to do with tools. I'm told that he has more tools than any 5 mechanics in the United States together, and he keeps them all in the same place. And he usually is swamped with people who want to borrow this and borrow that, and some of them never bring them back or forget to bring them back. But Dan regards it all with great equanimity. When I first came here and saw tonight all these people here, I figured, my God, Dan must be here with his tool collection. I figured that's what was going on. The second idiosyncrasy is more understandable as far as I'm concerned, and it's been referred to a couple of times already tonight, and that's beer. Dan, come on, up on the surface, please. Dan and I, sometimes with several other people, went out to dinner, and we had a few beers. Those few beers were all consumed by Dan, and it's almost always one of his favorite beers or another, the most favorite of which are the European beers. Just a few weeks ago, he and Audrey were over to our house, and we were very sure that we had to stock up on his favorite brand of beer. And I don't like to advertise, so I'm going to leave the brand out. And as time went on, it was 3 beers, it was 4 beers, it was 5 beers, 6 beers, and so on. And as Dan left,
And Joan came back in the house and we started to talk. She said, my God, all those beers, one bottle after another. Thank God it wasn't Chivas Regal or Johnny Walker. Dan, two of our kids that you have met, one very recently, Jack and Andy, want to send their very best regards on this occasion, which is a wonderful occasion. I'm looking forward to it sometime soon myself. And they all send regards. They think you're a very nice guy and a very, very humorous guy, but fortunately they don't know you too well. And that's... now we have something that I forgot to bring up here, and it's a gift, because we know the people that go into retirement after a period of time, their movements get slower and they tend to sit longer. And this is from us, Dan, something to keep you warm. Would you mind opening it up if I could ask you to do that? You're going to need that over the next few years, I can tell you that for sure. Now there is...
I'm afraid.
There is something that also characterizes this particular stage of Dan's life, and I'm going to pass this card around. It has a bed right here with a middle-aged and slightly later woman peering over the blanket at a middle-aged and slightly later retired man. And it says, you didn't save anything for your retirement? Thanks very much, Dan. And our whole family regards you and Audrey as such really nice people, and sincerely we wish you the very best of everything for the future.
Thank you, Dick.
Thank you.
This is yours?
Which one?
Senior.
The senior one.
Man with all the wealth and knowledge.
Well, I don't know why I'm following some good speakers like this or not, but Dan, I'd just like to express our appreciation for you and for being a good neighbor and for furnishing my son with a beautiful wife and a nice, fine grandson we have. I had a dream the other night, though, that kind of disturbed me, and I wanted to bring it to y'all's attention. That Billy came by the house, and this was in my dreams. And he said he was going somewhere, and he said, let's drop by and get Dan. So we did. We dropped by and got Dan, and we was riding along going to the meeting, and we had a wreck, and all three of us were killed. So we was up in heaven in the next few minutes, and so St. Peter came up and looked at us, and so he got me and carried me down to a little room, little small room, you know, and wasn't anything in there, but he opened the door and there was this ugly woman in there. And he said, Bill McDaniel, you have sinned, and this is your punishment for the rest of your life, to stay in this room with this ugly woman. So he left me and walked on down a little to the next room then, and carried Billy, and he said, open the door, and same situation. Here's this little tiny room with an ugly woman in it, you know. And he said, Billy McDaniel, you have sinned, and this is your punishment for the rest of your life, living this woman. So then carried Dan. He was on one left, got on down to the next room, and it was a right nice room. And so they carried him in there though and set him down, and same, you know, not too elaborate, and so they set him down in a chair. And In a few minutes, then the door opened on the other side, and in walked this beautiful girl. And St. Peter said, Christy Brinkley, this is you have sinned, and this is your punishment.
We have a few words from Ellie Verheim.
So Dan, you feeling good?
Working on it.
Jean Ann's a mighty sweet girl. She gave me this opportunity, and I just couldn't miss it. So Dan has really been a big help to Nita and I couldn't miss the opportunity to tell you about it. It first occurred when we bought a washer and a bathtub, and Sears delivered a lawnmower. And, Dan got right on it. He was a big help. You know, Dan had dedicated his life to helping me. He fought crime in New York. He fought consumers here in it, retailers here in Atlanta. He fought his neighbors. In fact, he's a hell of a fighter. And about this bathtub and refrigerator, they delivered this lawnmower. And I believe Dan would have fixed us up on that. Let's see, that happened in 1983. And in 1988, Dan, I think he would have solved it. But the bathtub got stolen. And, so Dan would have done well on that, I'm sure. Because he has dedicated his life to helping people and fighting people who's bad retailers. The other item that I bought was a car. It was a Chrysler product. He said I didn't know he was on the board, but I just thought
He's highly paid.
I just knew he was I knew Dan was a fine fellow, and he's always been very helpful to me tonight. And well, this car wouldn't back up, and after it ran for about 45 minutes, it would stop. Well, Dan knew that Nita's my wife. He knew she didn't need a car very badly, and of course she didn't drive very good. So he wasn't in a hurry with anything about resolving this, but he's a fighter. He doesn't give up. I'll say that to him. And let's see, that was in 1983. I think he would have resolved that problem. I believe he could if he wasn't retiring. He could resolve that problem. I was down to see him and wish him well on his retirement. He still had it in a prominent place on his desk. Of course, I let him know I was coming down. And, Dan, thanks a lot, and we wish you the best.
You know, they speak about Chrysler Corporation and so forth. Dan does get himself a relatively modest amount of money on a monthly basis. Those of you who know, Lee Iacocca will be in town next month to try and get his corporation out of the red, and he is looking for people like Dan Moran. And I don't know whether he'll approach you or not, Dan, but if he does, please give him your best, please. Bill Regan.
Oh, Dr. Payne. Dr. Painless.
Well, I have had the pleasure of being this guy's dentist for a while. Since he came to Atlanta, he spent many, many hours in the chair and has run up some pretty good bills. I hadn't done much dentistry. The main thing, he just talks so much. You know, but it's all right with me, Dan. You can just come on over here and talk as much as you want, because we do charge by the hour. So, and it's nice. You know, you keep us laughing. So come on back over. But you know, he's told me about a soft job he had in New York for a while. And, we'd asked him some things he'd do up there, and you know, I said, my gosh. aren't there suicides up there sometime and out in the river? And he said, yeah. I said, but when they come to my precinct, we get a pole and just kind of push them on out there, let them go down to the next precinct. I think he said something about that. Then he said something about his kids. He said he could sponge a lot of things off people being a cop. And there was some fair closing down, and something about there was a building over there that had a great big candy apple on top of it, and they gave it to him, and he put it up. Was he going to put it in his backyard? And did he put the candy apple up there? Just one of these huge things. The kids really liked it. That was. But then he decided to really mess up, and he came down here, and as I told him many times, he's a damn Yankee. He won't go back. If you go back, you'd just be a Yankee. But that's all right. So that's fine. He said something about he has a friend that he can really just sponge off of all the time. He's got a real nice cabin up on the lake. So I can sponge off this guy. So, he's nice. He's really good. But anyway, you can come on over anytime you want to. And we don't do much for free, but we do a little for free every once in a while. Nice package.
Thank you, Bill. You used the word sponge off of his family and the individual at the lake and so forth. I think it's more appropriate to say coercion. We have something just arrived here, and I'd like to read it to you. It came on the teletype. It's directed to all law enforcement agencies. Subject, it's an all points bulletin. Reference, Dan Moran. Previous employment, New York City Police Department, State of Georgia, Texaco, United States Marine Corps. Current status, can usually be found sitting on a lawn chair about 3 feet from the mailbox. Waits for piles of fraudulent pension checks to arrive each day. Has been spotted on the streets of Tucker soliciting odd jobs. Operates a used lawnmower parts shop from a shed in Midvale Circle area. Dan Moran is wanted for questioning under the Hoarding Act of 1952. How can one person accumulate 4,255 paintbrushes and over 1 million nuts and bolts and 75,000 of unusable garden hoses? If found, he may be armed with a weed whacker. He used to be dangerous, but now simply mumbles about how many free beers he beat the Bronx bartenders out of. Take no drastic action. Lock him up. Try to get him to do another job. It must have a pension tied into it. We wish him a happy and healthy retirement. Dan, God love you. It says Jefferson Valley, New York.
Oh, that's my brother.
Peace officers.
Oh, is this your brother?
Yeah.
What do you like this? How about the family, Audrey, the children, any comments?
I would just like to say that, as you all know, he said he is now working for the Honeydew Corporation. And since I am CEO of the Honeydew Corporation, we do have many projects. But today, it's just a gathering of friends and family to wish him happy retirement. And I thank you all for coming and hope that you'll stay for some refreshments.
Yeah. Thank you, Audrey. And to you.
I'd like
why
to
don't
say
you, Why don't you come down here? Just a little rebuttal here. We'll give you about 32 seconds.
All right, I'll take them. Thank you, Bill. Here, I got these for nothing. So once I got in here, Thanks, Bill. All right, let's start from the beginning. I didn't know this was going to be a roast. I didn't know it was going to be a party.
Tell them where you think you were going.
I thought I was going to a 30th anniversary for my good friend over here. Bunch of fakers. See if I go to your 31st.
See if you're invited.
Keep working, Jim. Keep working. Hey, Jim, you're gaining a little weight there, aren't you? And you gave up cigarettes last week, I heard. Yeah, have another one. We got people coming over here picking on me. Here's Mr. Matiziak. You are a star. Mr. Ryan. Oh, God, what a neighbor. Dick, you're a gentleman. And your lovely wife, Joan. They got nice beer. Heineken's. That's what it's all about. Mr. Bill, I thank you. You did a nice job. Audrey, it was a surprise. It really was. I had no idea. I should have thought a little bit when I saw Ron driving out about 15 to 20 minutes before we came. But if I had thought, I knew he'd want to be here early. But since he didn't know Jim, I didn't think he was coming here. I thought he was going to work. He's another retired man, works on Sunday and Saturdays. So he just doesn't want to be around me during the week. I thank you all for coming. It's very nice. I appreciate it. And I don't want to miss that guy in the back there, Bill. He's been cleaning me up for years. Does a good job at it, too. But thank you anyway. And I hope I have a nice retirement. If you ever need any help, my number is 555-1212. You got all the tools you need. Just ask. Thank you.
Dan, it's always nice to do nice things for nice people, and it's a pleasure.
Dan is a great one for telling jokes. I don't have any to tell. I wasn't planning to come up here. Dottie and I got a few things that I thought you might like.
20-pound sack, you think?
After you hear some of Dan's stories, you'll know that he'll have something to put his beer in, and certainly the Irish flag.
Holy shit.
That's
Is that Irish?
You never, what do you mean?
I always thought a roast was to tear a guy apart, and I can't think of anything that I'd say bad about Dan. Because I've had such wonderful times with Dan, and I can only think of the good. We know he likes the garden. There we've got a nice hybrid lily for you.
You got to put it on your chest. That's across your chest when you were passing. Oh, that's sweet.
I need some help here.
No.
An Italian.
Keep thinking. That's for Audrey.
Making the screen, it's gonna be ours.
That's for Audrey.
Screen.
You can't.
Across Audrey's chest. It won't fit.
Oh, yeah.
Dan, Dottie, you're going to have to give me a little help.
Go ahead. I don't remember.
I'll start on this.
Well, why don't you do the...
That's for his.
Oh,
That's
oh.
for his on the refrigerator.
We want... He called me completely off guard here.
Yeah.
Dan, I'm going to open this one because I think Still perfect after all these years.
No perfect after all these years. What do you mean all?
All these years, my God. You're getting up to retirement age, you know what happens.
I won't have to buy a shirt.
I don't even have to. Well, you've got 2 shirts now, do I? All the people that call you for the little odd work, you know, that you're going to be doing now, and I'll be calling you very shortly. They need a fence. And you've got recommendations. Here's something to take down the telephone number so you won't forget to call back.
Oh, okay.
Dan, it's been a hell of a fine relationship that we've had over the years. I haven't counted them, but there have been plenty of them. It's also like, being Yankees ourselves, it's nice to talk to people from time to time that have a New York accent. We understand it well.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Dan. Best of luck.
We must have somebody else from that particular table.
Ernie.
Ernie? All right, here we go. Here we go. Neighbors.
I'll try.
He gave it.
Ben Dan's next door neighbor.
Move me.
Getting to know him a few years when we moved down. Very nice. And I kept asking Dan, I said, you know, you're a fine guy, Yankee and everything. What brought you to pick up, move from your friends, your family, and come to Atlanta to retire? He said, well, when I was flat-footing on the beat up in New York, he said, is this cold winter? He says, cold night. And I looked up and this billboard says, moves to the sunny south. And he said, we that could read, we did. Well, I've traveled up to New York a time or two, and I'd seen this movie, Dirty Harry, and I go around and I go talking to some of the police on the force. I said, this Dan Moran, do you know him? He said, oh, that's Dirty Dan. That's before the Harry. So what we was doing, we know he's been skilled, so we've got this little deal here with all his marksmanship and training that he's got this little problem with squirrels going in eating his birdseed. So this from 40 feet away, he can squirt water on them and he can erase the image of being Dirty Dan. He can be Clean Dan as he washes the squirrels away from the bird seeds. So I'm sure he can use that.
Thank you, Bob.
You know, Dan, when we first moved out to the lake back in 1979, I thought the squirrel was probably one of the prettiest things that God put on the earth. I really did. You know, they jump all over everything else. They're just great. But as time went on, some of the people at the hotel gave me a couple of cement squirrels. I still thought it was just magnificent. I put them in the corner of the home and so forth. And then when the squirrels start going from tree to tree, and the squirrels go up in the attic, and I mean, forget it. So when he gets through with that particular gun, give it to me. I've got something better than that, though, really. I have a 410 and 22 over and under and a 12 gauge. So it's been put. So squirrels are great things, but
Bill,
yes, sir.
loan that to him so he can take care of his bird spotting on his car.
Yeah.
And roost over his car at night.
You hear that, Dan?
Yeah.
Get your car cleaned up before you come up to the lake.
Good thing elephants don't fly.
Who else at Bob and table there? We've got the good doctor. We've got him taken care of. Neighborhood table? Okay, we go down to, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Herb and I have the privilege of being a couple of the street people. We live on the street with Dan and Audrey. I think we've always liked living on the street a lot. I don't have a joke here, actually, but one of the things that makes the street so pleasant is having folks like Dan down a ways. Early in the morning, I usually get up and I go out and get my newspaper, and one of the most pleasant sights has always been Dan driving up and knowing that he's had to leave a little bit before I've had to leave each morning. And now that Roy's retired, Ron's retired, now Dan's retired, you folks sure have made it easy to back out of the driveway in the morning. There's anybody to look for. Ern's got a little box in there for you somewhere. Dan, absolutely the best to you. Dan, I hope it's not over on the street. I hope that we have many more years of friendly smiles and all. And now you can look out your window and watch me back out of the driveway.
Well, we'll move right along. You know, we've had these gentlemen doing all the talking and everything else, but really, yeah. Well, look, I want. No. You. Please come up. Please come up.
Well,
Oh yeah. Come on.
I don't want to tell tales out of school. Dan, I don't want to embarrass you.
What's this time? What's the name?
Carol.
Carol. Come on, Carol.
Well, I mean, you want to be, yeah, is Helen ready? Let's go, come on, stand up and let's,
Ready, Helen? Ready, Eddie? Yeah.
I wouldn't do this for anybody else.
I know you wouldn't.
Yeah. How do you like that? Huh?
God love you.
She's going to stab me now.
Actually, this is a true story, and I wouldn't have brought this up but for, I know, you and Tim and all the boys.
Don't let him intimidate you.
I wouldn't have brought the subject up except that everybody already brought it up before me. Dan's closest friends and cronies are talking about his drinking habits or what have you, so I guess it's safe to pass this little anecdote by you. Years ago, I was working downtown at 5 Points, and Dan and Rick were working at Peachtree Center, and one night after work, I picked them up on the way, and we went to Manuel's Tavern. Dan and Rick were already a little sloshed. Rick helped Dan in, or Dan was helping Rick in, I'm not sure which, but I was the designated driver. And Dan had trouble, as I said, getting over the threshold, but he got in, he focused on a sign that was next to the dartboard. And the sign said that whoever could throw the first dart and get a bullseye, they would win a grand prize, some great prize that the bar was giving out. Dan staggered up to the thing, grabbed the dart, and popped it, and son of a gun, it was a bullseye. So he went to the bartender, and in his way, drunken way, he told the bartender that he tossed the dart and got a bullseye and he wanted his prize. And the bartender said, I don't know what you're talking about, man. He said, look, there's a sign there that says the first guy that comes in and pops a dart and gets a bullseye gets a prize. So the bartender wasn't about to put up a Dan shenanigans, so he reached down under the bar. He found a box turtle that his kid had left there earlier in the day, and he plopped it down, and he said, this is your grand prize. Dan looked at it and staggered away. We went home, and then some months went by, and this is before Rick and I had children, of course, and could play after work. And we did this bit again. I picked the guys up and went to Manuel's. Dan and Rick staggered in. Son of a gun, the same sign was up there. Dan decides he's going to give it another shot. Picks up a dart, and son of a gun, his eyes were hardly open. He popped it in, bullseye. Dan goes up to the bartender and he said, I want my prize. Oh man, I don't know what you're talking about. The sign says if you come in and pop the first dart and it's a bullseye, get a prize. You remember this, don't you, Dan?
Oh, yeah.
The bartender said, I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Moran was not going to take no for an answer. He said, I was here a few months ago with these same people. I came in, I was just as drunk as I am today, and son of a gun, I popped in and it was full sight. I want my prize. Bartender says, I don't know what you're talking about. What prize did I give you last time? He said, I'm not sure. It was, I think it was a roast beef on a hard roll, but I want my I moved my office to Decatur after that, and there was no more picking the guys up after work. They were on their own after that. But in any event, Dan and Rick have been great friends, and through Dan and Rick, I've been able to meet Dan's lovely bride, Audrey, they've been wonderful friends. And as I told somebody when we first walked in, I'm not sure about Dan and Rick's relationship, whether it's blood brothers or big brother, little brother, or dad and son, or whatever it is, but it's a wonderful relationship, and I know Dan takes up a very large piece of Rick's heart, and that has spread among us all, and we love Dan and Audrey and their family very much. We wish you many, many, many years of wonderful retirement. I know Rick can't wait to get my dad down, who's also recently retired, to go out and play golf. Don't take him to Manuel's, and don't get him to start popping doors.
I think it's really simple when you think about it. It's the Irish and the Polish. I think what it is solidarity. So I think you got it pretty well tied in there, Rick. Yeah. Do we have someone else at your table, Rick?
No, I.
Lady? Yeah. Young lady. Beautiful lady. Any lady.
I've got negative things to these people.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Bob, you be the spokesman for your particular tip.
And Dan through the Key to the City newcomers. And I don't know where, I think we were down at some function at the Hilton. And we had just gotten to know them, but not really gotten to know them. And I'm originally from a little town, Malone, New York, which nobody knows about. It's above Albany. It's northern New York. And in that town, I worked for a veterinarian as the office secretary. And one of the assistant veterinarians that was working with us, Dr. Gingras, was a Bob Walker. So I don't know how the conversation came up, but all of a sudden I said this Bob Walker, who was living in Shrub Oak, right? And Audrey said, oh, we know them. And I thought, here's this small world that these four people are meeting in Atlanta, that me from a little teeny town in northern New York that worked for a man that they knew when they lived outside of New York. And I guess as you go through life and you get older, these little connections, you think maybe, gee, those twists and turns of just chance. They're not just chance. It's the hand of God moving people to find people and be together. And the only other thing, and I wrote in your book, Dan, is that we had so much fun going over to the horse races. And we learned, and I think everybody can take note, if you want to find a good buffet at any hotel or any restaurant, always look to see if they have pickled beets. If they have pickled beets, Dan recommends that buffet. I love you, Dan.
I don't know most of you, but yeah, that might be a good thing. But I told Dan before, I wanted to get up and say something earlier, but I remember my old Irish grandfather telling me years ago, if you can't say something good about somebody, you don't open your mouth. Good luck, Dan.
One evening, we were having dinner, and the mosquitoes came up and so forth, and Betty was annoyed because the mosquitoes were in there, and I said, well, hell, there's no problem. We'll just put in indoor-outdoor carpeting or some other carpeting. She wouldn't have it. Would not have it. But at any rate, Messrs. Moran and Ross came up with a very innovative idea. I think it was just maybe their creativity over R&R, or whether it was Scotch, or whether it was Heineken's, I forget which. But be as it may, they
look at our patio down below the screen porch, and it must be roughly, gosh, I don't know, 18, 20 feet thereabouts. And what they did is they hand-fashioned, custom-made screens to put up in there with toggle bolts and with brass wing nuts and so forth, so that the bugs could not get in. We could maintain our redwood floor, and yet when it caught too much debris and so forth, you could take those toggles out, drop them, hose them down, put them back up, and you're home free. I don't know if I really haven't seen it any place else where I've been. I think it just so I really want to thank you, Mr. Moran. And with that particular opening, Mr. Ross, do you have something you want to say to this young man?
Well, please don't.
Well,
He can't say anything.
I really don't know what to say. I waited till kind of last and thought, you know, maybe somebody might say something that would give me something that I could say. But really, I haven't heard anything that impressed me about Dan. Audrey, I'm sorry that you went to all this expense for such a bum. And really, I have spent many evenings with Dan and his wife, my wife, Bill and Betty. But I didn't know that he drank like this. Really, I was surprised when I learned all this afternoon. It's really shocking. I've been sitting there thinking, Dan, I had a little project at home, but that I was doing, and I was going to, since you were retired, I was going to invite you out to help me with it. It has a little something to do with screens and porches and things of this nature, but with your drinking and I really don't know if I can afford you. But no, I met Dan. We met Dan and Audrey about, as probably a lot of you did, about 15 years ago at a drunken party. And of course, at our party we had some barbecue. And Dan and I got into a pretty good discussion about that time New York City was borrowing a lot of money, you know, and so I was a little irritated about that. Naturally, I get in a conversation with this guy, and I'm kind of expressing myself. After a few scotches, you know, I'm expressing myself how I feel about that. And Dan says, by the way, Herb says, I just moved down from New York. Says, I retired from the New York City Police Department. And of course, you know how I felt. But since that time, Dan and I have had some wonderful times, our families. And we, as Bill mentioned, we did enjoy building some screens to keep the little bitty tiny bugs, red bugs, you know, you all don't know what red bugs are, chiggers, off of Betty's porch. And we had a good time doing that. And we've had a few good New Year's Eve together and some country boy retirements and a few parties at the lake. But still, I never really knew that he was the boozer that he is. I mean, I thought he walked on his knees late in the evening. Being Irish. But Dan, Joe and I would like to wish you and Audrey a very happy, long, and wonderful retired life together. And I want to invite you out to my house for a hamburger sometime. Okay? And a beer. And a beer. Thank you. God bless.
only fitting and proper and appropriate that we kind of turn this latter part of the evening, afternoon, to just a wonderful spouse, Audrey, although she says she's the CEO, I don't believe it. But be as it may, I think that the latter part of this program should be in the complete hands of a lady who orchestrated the whole thing together. Audrey?
Well,
To the podium.
I
And hay in the bag.
really don't have anything. I'm real happy that you're all here, and it was my gift to Dan today, and just a gathering of his friends and associates, and I'm just happy that you're here, and there is still food and drink, so please help yourself.
Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you. Well, I just want to say that the Mass is ended, and God love you in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Listen, get your horn out, Audrey.
That's that one.
He's got that check up for a record now.
They want commercials. Get them in there, for God's sakes.
Hey, Dan, you ever meet Herb Ross?
Yeah.
My son Dan.
How are you? Good to see you again, Dan.
Herb Ross? Yeah, Phil Roy, my neighbor next door.
Oh, next door?
Yeah.
That was it. I think we had just been up there and did not want to go back up there.
I understand